welcome everybody and good afternoon. Thanks for joining us for our webinar this afternoon. We took a little break, so it's good to be back with you all. Today, our session is going to be on a review of our enhancements for our 2101 release, which is the new release that came out beginning of this year. So we're going to go through the features and the key things that you'll be getting in that upgrade. So my name is Megan Morse. I'm one of the product consultants here, and here's the rest of our team. We run these monthly sessions and are assigned to each of you to help support you with any training or system questions that you may have. So you can always reach out to us directly if you need any assistance. And just a reminder, we do have everybody on mute. So if you have any questions or we'd love to hear comments from you, we'd like this session to be as interactive as possible. So please utilize the Q&A icon located at the bottom of your screen, and we'll address those throughout. We will have a recording of the session available on our Freshdesk support site, as well as also through our YouTube channels. So you can always check those out later. We will follow up in an email and send you a link to those recordings as well. We are in the process of moving and transitioning all of our previous sessions over to the Cognizant YouTube site. So we do still have some on the Cognizant Softvision if you want to look at anything historically, or if anything new, you can always look under Cognizant YouTube Digital Solutions for the retail playlist. You'll find everything that we've most recently recorded there. Okay. All right, so moving on to our agenda for today. So we're going to be going through the key features within the 2101 release here, beginning with two features related to in-season planning. The first one will be the action chain offer setup, and the next one is the item plan to forecast variance. So specifically with this feature, and we're going to call this out throughout the session here, but there is a note with this feature here. It does require a new calculation and specific data elements. So in terms of circulation and page count, that needs to be assigned to the offer for this calculation to work in this feature as well. Then we will go through 4 different features in terms of initial buy forecast. So the first one will be the item plan import and automated like product functionality that we've introduced. We'll get into new features around calculating future demand, as well as calculating return rates. Another one with the return rates here, this feature does require a scheduled job to run and to calculate the demand or any of the return rate based off of the product attributes defined. So if that's something you want to get started, you'll just have to reach out with our support team and we'll have to get all of that coordinated with you. Then moving on to the last feature in terms of initial buy forecasting, which is our SKU allocation templates by brand. This is a nice feature to allow you to set that up by brand. This is going to require that brand field to be available within your product master. So something to keep in mind with that one. And then we'll wrap up with our 2 vendor features. One will be the exporting to Excel and allowing you to see all 52 weeks within your planning horizon. And then also the publishing functionality that we've introduced within the venture module as well. Okay. So with that, I will turn it over to Janine to get us started off here.
Great, thanks Megan. Good afternoon, everyone. So one of the new features that we've added to 2101 is what we call action chains. So this is at a level higher than the link offer functionality that we've had in the past. So these action chains that you can create is to set up a relationship of catalogs that you have a base catalog established, and then you're going to create a chain of additional offers that will be attached to the one offer. So you have this chain of offers, and the way to do this is to categorize the offers to either a major offer or a minor offer. So we've added a new tab in the offer setup screen called Action Chain. this is where you would tag your offers, major or minor, and you also will key in an item plan variant here, and I'll explain that in a bit. You can, if you have multiple divisions, you can link offers across different divisions within this chain. And you can have a catalog linked to more than one chain, so you're not restricted there. So the premise behind creating this action chain is we want to be able to, in conjunction with creating forecasts for products, both new and repeat or carryover, is we're creating this chain and we're putting in a forecast variant. So similar to the concept behind our product variance report or screen that you have on the dashboard. So as I've established this chain, what I will do is can you go to the next slide? It might be more illustrative for the group. So what we want to do with this is I have a series of books. So I have my home collection, call it drop 1 or my first offer in the home collection. I then have created a chain down here at the bottom where I have home drop 2. And then I have a version of home for the web, and I've got 2 offers there. So my web offers, I consider those more a minor offer. They don't have as much of a product selection as my major offers do. But what I want to accomplish with this chain is I want to be able to create a forecast for those additional offers. But in addition, when it's in season, meaning once your offer is active, I want to be able to have all of the offers that are in this chain be adjusted based on what's going on with the base offer. So what it will do is when your offer gets to the product percent complete, it's met that product percent complete, and I'll remind you where that is. It will then look to see if your item plan, so your original forecast, is above a 20% variance in relation to the projected numbers that are in the system. So it's comparing your initial forecast to where the projections are aiming. And if there's a 20% or higher variance, it's going to take the performance of how your items are performing in the base offer, and it's going to take that result and roll it through and adjust all of the forecasts for the offers that are in that chain. Now, what I do want to call out is the way this calculation is done and what the variance is looking for is based on this new metric, which is demand per circulated page. And what's required for the demand per circulated page metric is you have to have circulation in your macro, you must have a revenue value, and then you must have a total page count. So it's going to look at that DPCP metric, look at the variance, and then adjust all the forecasts going forward. This does require several of these new functionalities in the application do require specific processes or jobs to be scheduled. The decision is made as to how frequently you would want these scheduled. Most would opt probably for daily, because what the action chain will do is it will start at whatever percent complete you have for your product and will continue to adjust until your offer goes into auto projection. So given, if you have your offers go into auto project at say 20% or 30%, so from your products from 12 to that 30% when you go into auto project is when it's going to be making these adjustments. Once the base offer in the action chain hits its auto project, it will stop adjusting. Obviously, it will start, only looking at the projected number in the system. But those that are in the chain will continue to adjust as the sales accumulate.
We got a question, Jenny. I'm sorry. We got a question. Sure. Will that affect the mix percent as well? Is this just at a product level or does it go down to a SKU level?
It's just at a product level. You would
Okay.
need to go in and adjust your mix percent or take a look at your mix percent.
Okay.
Because the product level percent is usually much lower than when the SKUs start adjusting to actuals. So yes, you would want to go in and take a look at your mix percent to see if there's been any shifts in what you originally forecasted.
Right. And this metric is only at a product level, right?
That is correct. It's
Okay.
at a product level. So one of the things that I wanted to point out, and we'll kind of reiterate through this, because this requires processes to run so that you see results the following day. If any of these functionality are of interest to you to take a look at, we strongly recommend it being done in a test environment. And also with the test environment, you would want to, for a brief period of time, be able to interface your current data so that you're looking at a real live example. So we just want to call that out to everyone. All right, next slide, please. Oh, so one of the things I wanted to call out, sorry, once you create the action chain, if you decide you need to change it or adjust it, you can delete any of the offers that you've included in the action chain, or you can actually delete the action chain altogether. That's completely up to you. I forgot to mention that when we were on that slide. Thank you, Stuart. Okay, so once the system has seen this activity, it sees a variance and it makes adjustments, what we wanted to do is obviously give the users the choice to either accept what the system is recommending or not. So we have created a new screen in the forecast module, and it's called Action Chain Forecasts. So you would come into this the following day, and we give you various filters on being able to, focus down on a particular subset if you need to do that. But we'll come in here and we will illustrate, it's called old units versus new units, but we'll illustrate the old units to tell you this is what you forecasted yesterday. But based on the activity and the variance that we're seeing, these are the new units that we're recommending your forecasts be changed to. So it will require the users to accept or reject these results. And there's two ways to do that. You can either multi-select or select all of the items that you want to adjust and either click accept or reject up at the top, or you can do a right-click menu and do accept or reject. If you have products that are in multiple offers, you could group by product ID to see what that effect is looking at in the chain. We give you obviously a lot of options here on how to group and be able to dissect the information, but it will require either an acceptance or a rejection. Okay, next screen. All right, so we do have a great new automated functionality around like products. This particular enhance or function that's in this this particular version does not relate to that new metric. So I just wanted to call that out. So what we've done is, as items are added to offers, whether you are building that item assortment in maps, or if you are interfacing the OPS records, as soon as you start sending that in for any offer that comes in, all the products are automatically marked for like product association. What the system will then do is it's going to establish whether there's existing history for those products or not. If there is existing history, it will go ahead and take off the like product mapping association, because it's going to take a look at the last 2 years worth of history, and it's going to create a forecast for you based on that 2-year average. If it's a new product and it doesn't locate history, we have established this like product functionality to look at product attributes. So that can either be maintained in the dashboard, it's utilizing one of the user fields, or it will be interfaced. So if you are using product attributes that you want to be considered for this like product functionality, you would just need to make sure that one of those user fields is populated with that product attribute and let us know, so that when we schedule the process to run, it'll focus and highlight specifically on that user field. So in the instance where you've got a new product coming in, it's going to look at that product attribute, and will then look at 2 years worth of history for any product that has that same attribute. Then it will take an average of that 2-year demand and create a forecast, initial forecast for you for that new product. The other, whoops, one last thing, sorry. The other function that we gave to you is if you are introducing a brand new category or a brand new subcategory, and you want to be able to utilize the like product functionality for that, you have this new screen in the Maps module that will allow you to map your new category to a similar category or similar subcategory. So it'll use that history initially for the like product association and the product attributes. You can set a start and end date for that mapping. So for example, if you have a new accessories category and you are mapping it to something similar like jewelry, you could put in a start date of whenever you've got product that will be introduced in this new category, and an end date of say 3 months or 4 months, whichever time frame you feel is enough for you to have developed enough history in this new category or subcategory. So you can put a start and stop date on that for you. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to Stuart.
Said Janine, those like product changes look like they could be a real time saver for people.
Huge, I would think, because you're now not having to go in there and search and decide which ones you want to pick and add to that product level forecasting screen. Yeah, I think it'll be a huge advantage.
All right, I'm going to go through another enhancement, excuse me, and that's calculating future demand. So whenever products are added to the offer through the dashboard or interface, they're marked for this future demand calculation. The system will check if actual history exists for each product. It'll look to see if we have actual sales in at least 3 historic offers. If that's true, the system will calculate that future demand figure based on the average demand of the past 2 years. If no item history exists, the system will use the like item functionality that Janine had spoke about before, and that will be used to calculate a demand figure. So the calculation is based on that average demand of products, and it's filtered by criteria, user fields. Those are the different product attributes that you have. It's completed at the product level. You still will have to go in and figure a SKU mix percentage. We have a new parameter that'll determine if this future forecast functionality will be used. So if you turn this to true, the system will go through and look for those items that are added and calculate that future forecast. There is a scheduled job that's run that'll calculate the demand that will be able to pick up those products. So a lot of what we've been showing you these past few enhancements is to automate the forecasting basically by a set of rules. We also have functionality to calculate return rates. So whenever products are added through the dashboard or interface, they're marked for the return rate calculation. Again, we have another parameter, plan initial return calc. If that's true, it'll determine if the return rate will be calculated. The system will calculate the MAPS return rate. This is not the return rates in master scheduling. This is the return rate in MAPS that factors into your contribution margin calculation. Users can manually adjust that rate. We look for 2 years of actual returns for that calculation. For new products, that don't have that, the return rates are calculated based on the subcategory historical average of 2 years. And there is a scheduled job to calculate these return rates. And I'm going to hand it over to Linda to talk about SKU allocation templates.
Thank you, Stuart, and good afternoon, everybody. So our SKU allocation functionality has been expanded to be able to create size templates by brand. So, and this replaces the ability to create templates by vendor. So you can have vendor templates or brand templates. So on the size allocation template screen, I want to make sure to get my names of screens here correct. There's a new column for brand that has been added to the screen. And then in the history portion of the screen at the bottom, there's a drop down which will allow the user to be able to select that brand or the brands that are available for those categories, subcategories. So there's like the others that Stuart and Janine have been talking about, there's a parameter that will drive this functionality. So next slide, Stuart. And the parameter is FFCT SKU allocation template by brand. So if you select yes, we're going to use the brand functionality within these screens. If you select no, we're going to use the existing vendor options that we have available today. And so in the screen, when brand is selected in the drop-down, only products with that brand will be displayed. And so the brand, again, will be pulling from that FMSH product master, specifically the brand field. And it looks like we had a question come in. How does...
That's on the return rates that I covered. How does it connect to the master scheduling for inventory? There isn't really a connection. If I'm correct, that's two different return rates. One is the MAPS return rate for figuring profitability, and the other is the return rate at master scheduling, the resellable return rate. Am I right on that, Linda? And
Yep.
anyone else?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And the difference between those is with MAPS, you're budgeting the profitability for the product in that specific offer. When we get to master scheduling and you're in materials planning, that's a combination of absolutely everything. So that's where we only take into account the resell return rates that are available in materials planning.
The restockable returns, yep.
Right.
Right, and that could also vary by warehouse now, right?
Restockable returns, yes.
Right, the resellable returns. Yeah, where in MAPS, it's really just for the offer itself or however it's set up. So it is two different types of functions, actually.
Yeah. So on the next slide, so just going back and repeating a little bit. So
Want me to go back one, or you're okay? Okay.
Yeah, we're
Sorry.
fine just there.
Okay.
As I say, when you select brand or you use the drop down, you will see a listing for that, the product codes in that category, subcategory, and the different fields that they have populated, the brand fields populated. And when you select brand, then you will see that it will only display the items with those brands. And so once the brand template percentages, so if you move forward, Stuart, thank you. So once the brand percentages, the template percentages are entered, whether you want to use the historical percentages for those particular items, or if you want to enter and overkey to specific percentages, you do have the option that you can change the number of history weeks that you are using. You'll select create, and then you will see that the new brand template will move to the top of the screen and be available to be selected within your products and assigning the size allocation. So there are two options. So after you create your brand template, the templates can be assigned on either the suggested template screen or on the PLF mix percent screen. So next slide, Stuart. And so in the lower corner, we've got the suggested template screen. And so just a reminder that if you are using the suggested template screen, your daily processes do have to run once for those templates to get updated with what the suggested templates are that you've created. And on that suggested template, you can filter by category, by subcategory, by brand, and you'll get a listing of all the products that will have that brand available within that category, subcategory. And you can use the drop-down field to be able to select if you want to use the category, subcategory template, or if you want to use the new category, subcategory brand templates. So this screen is actually a great time saver because it allows the users to be able to go in and assign templates to multiple product codes. They don't have to do it product by product. So another option is that you can assign your template on the PLF mix percent screen. So, which is just an easy reminder for people if they see that a template hasn't been assigned. The only option when you do it through the PLF screen is that it does require that each product get updated individually. So anybody have any questions related to the size templates or?
It's a nice feature anyway that we've had for a while. Even if people aren't using the brand, you would have to interface it on the product master. But even without that, it's just a good screen to use.
Yep. Or you could populate it in the product wizard too, if you want to make it a application owned field.
Right.
So with that, if there aren't any questions, I'll turn it over to Megan, who's going to talk about some of the venture changes.
Great. Thanks, Linda. Okay, so moving over to the two venture features that we've included in this release as well. First is this export feature. Now with this new release, we have the ability to export all 52 weeks from your planning horizon within two screens in Venture, the revenue plan window, as well as the forecast adjustments window. So prior to this release, when you were in either of these windows, you would be able to export to Excel only the weeks that were in the display. Now we've added in the periods drop-down menu here, you see on the right-hand side, the show all option. So this will bring in all of those weeks in the planning horizon so that then the users can export that complete 52-week view into Excel. So a nice feature for that view as well. The other option that we've introduced with Venture is the publishing function. So this new feature allows us for a real-time publish action into master scheduling. So any of the forecast changes that you made previously, you would have to run the reforecast process or the master scheduling process. Now with this new release, we have the ability for you to make those changes to your products in the forecast settings, and then you'll click the publish option that we have here on the Venture screen, and that's going to bring up a little publishing window here where you're going to select that you'd like to publish these updated changes to your working forecast. So it's going to publish them, send them directly to master scheduling, so then you can go into materials planning right away after you've done that action and review the results immediately, and then quickly be able to make any actions in terms of inventory needs and addressing them much sooner than you could before. So a great feature to just help with workflow and overall reaction time for inventory. Okay. So that was, you want to switch over?
Yeah, I think I'll try to show, here's a sample dashboard. We'll go through some of these enhancements. Problem is we didn't run some of those processes that we spoke about in this dashboard. So I can't show you everything, but I could show some of the screens so we could, you could take a look how they look like. So here's an offer, home collection. You could see this action chain. We would set up the offer category, either major or minor. And then we could set that item plan to forecast variance. And you could set that to whatever you want. Here we have it at 20%. You could just go in there and adjust these if you want. And here's where we bring in the action chain offer. So our home collection is here as a major, and then we've brought in home 2 and the web as minor. If I went here, let's say, and deleted this action chain, it'll take it out. And then I could just go and add it just to show you the process, what this looks like, going in there, adding and taking out. So if I want to add this home one back in, I would hit enter. Oh, base offer could not be added. I did the wrong one. Let's do the web. There we go, and that added it. And you see that it added it as minor. This category, major or minor, would have been set up originally when you do that. So this is a way to go in there and link all of these.
Stuart or Janine, just for more information, what would be the difference or explanation of what minor and major means?
So major would be what I would consider, your main offers. So a lot of our clients have, their fall book series, and they have their fall drop one, for example, and then there might be multiple drops along with that. So if you're sending different versions of that major offer, that would be the distinction of what you would consider a major or a minor. So a minor would be more like maybe a prospecting catalog. It's 64 pages. It's not the 96 that your big book is. It could be a focused launch area on the web, for example, or maybe a package insert. Any kind of vehicle that has probably a less of an assortment than the main book, but it has the same products. That's typically, in talking with a couple of the clients that are interested in this is how they're classifying their offers. And as far as there's a question about what does that designation drive? Is there a calculation different between the two? That's a really good question. The way this was built is that major offers can have minor or major offers linked to them. Minor offers can only be linked to each other. And we have a pretty good example of when it's looking at that variance, how it's calculating out. As far as the calculation being different between the two, no, the calculation's not different. But
Janine, if it's using that new DCMP calculation, which is circulation per page, you may not want to link prospect books to non-prospect books, because that calculation would be different across the two of them, I'm assuming.
True.
Because your circulation on your prospect books would be so much higher.
Potentially, yes. I mean, you'd want to try to keep whatever the action chain that you're building, your circulation's, pretty similar. It would have to depend on how you'd want to look at what you might want to put in an action chain and what would distinguish. You might not have any minor offers. You might just consider all of your offers major. That would just be something you'd want to talk out internally as well as probably with us. But yes, because it's looking at your revenue and it's looking at that circulation and that page count. I have one particular customer that their circs are the same for the major and minor offer. The page count's different, but they still wanted to create that action chain because of the product assortment.
Okay, good questions there. The next screen is in forecasting. It's the action chain forecast. We had a screenshot of this. I don't have any data here because, again, we just didn't run the process. So just want to show you what that screen looks like. It is in forecasting and it is this action chain forecast, but we really didn't run it in here. So sorry about that. In maps is where we look at that subcategory mapping. So that's down here at the bottom. So here's where you could see you have your category, subcategory, and the mapped category and subcategory. So as you get new categories in here, if something was here, you could then map it one to the other. Again, you could just change it here in the drop down to any of these. And it's showing you those changes here, and then you could save.
And that opens up the start and end dates too.
that does. Okay. And I'm not going to save the changes. Back in forecasting, the SKU allocation templates. So this is where we have the brands. And here you can see the different brands that we have, the number of products. We'll see show if it's created or not. You'll see this template percentage down here. Normally you'd have some history possibly coming in to do that. And that's where we have this brand. And if we wanted to create new, we could then hit the drop down to pull in the brand. Here we don't have it. And then if you're not interfacing brand on the product master, this would be vendor. So choice is either brand or vendor when you're creating these templates. And then going into suggested templates, you could see that we would have brand as a field here that we could group by. And so you could go in there, either item by item, select the suggested template. This should have the brand one, but we didn't run a process. You could either assign it automatically, or if you go to edit, you could go to the mix percent and it will bring down that template, and then you'd be able to assign it. So this is really good for new products they have coming in to go in and create these and then assign them. And then with this version, we added brand coming in on the product master. All right, I'm going to get back, if I can, to the presentation.
We really appreciate you guys all joining us for today. Next month, we will be back on June 17th, and we'll be reviewing our forecasting basics. So we'll be getting more into the training overviews and quick tips and best practices for the different modules and features. So we thought forecasting basics would be a good one to continue with on that topic. So if you have any specific questions or comments related to this one or what you'd like to see in the upcoming webinar, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll definitely address those as they come through. That's all for joining us. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you.